Hey folks, I'm Steph, and today I got a new bike. Well, new to me bike. So this is the State 4130 core line. I think it's like the 2020 model, so the last gen one. It's in matte black. I would say it's more of a satin, but I'm pretty sure it's stated as matte black. And it has a flip-flop hub in the back, single and fixed. Right now it's set up as single, but planning to flop it over and do a few other things to it to kind of clean it up and kind of customize it to what I want. So yeah, let's go on and get into this. All right, so it's a little bit dirty right now. It's a little bit of, I think, dog or cat hairs on it and some dirt, grime, general grime that I'm gonna clean up a bit. The seat post is a little scuffed up, nasty. The saddle is mounted very interestingly. Um, solid enough. It was solid enough for the test ride, but looking at it closer, yeah, not great. Spiral cage is kind of wonked up. Yeah, but otherwise it's in pretty decent condition. I'm gonna swap out the front brake. I think I'm gonna leave on the back brake for now, because this will be my first fixed gear. So I'm gonna try to leave on the back gear until I get comfortable, and then I'll take that off. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Previous owner swapped out the chainring and crank arms for Suginos. So it's a Sugino messenger on the for the chainring. So that's a pretty nice upgrade. I think it's like $150 upgrade for this crank set. So yeah, for 200 bucks, it wasn't too bad. Yeah, but I'm just gonna work on it, talk y'all through a little bit of what I'm doing, and then that'll be the video. So hope y'all stick around. All right, so first I'm just gonna take off the bottle cage. I'll put on a new one later, but I'm just gonna leave it off for now to make it easier to clean up. Alrighty. All right, so you can see this bottle cage, a little, a little bit cattywampus, and has a lot of flex to it too. So I'm just gonna put that aside. Might use it for another bike eventually, but for now it's just going to the parts bin. I'll pull off these pedals and throw on something with foot retention. For pedals, you always push the wrench back to uninstall them, and then they should come off pretty easily after that. Nothing wrong with these pedals, it's just I have a pair that has foot retention, so might as well swap them out for the fixed gear build. Kind of feels like this side was very slightly cross-threaded. It isn't great, but it's not too bad. All right, pedals are off. Also doesn't look like the grease looks a little dry on there, so yeah, that's fine. Easy. It's a cheap Diamondback seat. I'm not putting anything crazy on this, so I'm gonna save this actually for my stationary bike. The one on my stationary bike's kind of thrashed, so this will be a nice upgrade for that. And then I just might as well pull off these little, oh gosh. Oh, okay. That was a little stuck on there, but I think a big thing with state bikes is that, at least of this generation, is that none of the stock bolts or anything came lubricated. So yeah, gonna go through and lubricate these things too, put some grease on them. Yeah, that snap usually indicates that there's no grease on a bolt, so it's probably a good thing that we're doing a once over. So we're gonna clean out the old grease in the seat post. I don't know, this like, I don't know what about bikes. It's like when you crack a bolt with old grease, it just smells funky, man, right? I don't know what it is. I'm sure there's some kind of corrosion, or maybe it's literally just the grease being old, but it just smells really funky, man. Okay. All right. Before I clean up the frame, I'm just gonna take off this brake since I'm gonna replace it with a Dura-Ace one anyways. I'm replacing it with a, let me grab it real quick. Planning to replace it with a single, we call it single caliper brake. So I think technically, strictly speaking, it's a downgrade since it's a single pull versus a double pull. But I kind of want to step away from the murdered black look, put some silver on there just to make it a little bit more unique. And I mean, come on, guys, it's Dura-Ace. That's the good stuff, right? So, you know, a little bit of vanity, a little bit of modification. While it might be a downgrade, I don't know. Feels good to me. I also went through and re-greased and serviced my Dura-Ace brake, so it's nice and smooth. It has bearings in it too, so yeah. Need a cable snip for that. All right, pull that cable out. Okay, that's off. I'm gonna steal the brake pads off that too. So let's get into cleaning the frame. I use Finish Line Super Bike Wash. I just refilled this one, so it's pretty nice. They you can buy the full bottle, and then you can also buy the concentrate so that you can refill them. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, just spray it on a towel. Spray a little bit on the frame too if you want, and then just wipe it off. Guess I could probably take off the wheels too, actually, now that I think about it. Might as well. Putting that the wrong way. All right. I think these cables stay, what do you call them? The hell do you call these things? Retention? I don't know, chainstay retention. It's pretty nice to have, but kind of makes putting the wheel on and off a little bit more of a hassle. Not too bad though. All right. Wheels off. Find my rag again. Now, should be easy to clean up this frame. So, you know, I have other bikes, and I think technically this would be my fourth, maybe fifth in my lineup. I have like a commuter hybrid bike, a vintage road bike, and I have a vintage mountain bike as well. Technically, I also have a folder, but that's kind of give that out on loan. I don't really ride that one very much. And I don't know, I've just been this YouTube channel, Zach Gallardo. He does a bunch of fixed gear content, and I've been watching him for a few years now. Even before I learned how to ride a bike, which was only 2 years ago. Yeah, he made fixed gear look like a lot of fun. And I know it's not the most practical thing, especially where I live. I don't live in like a flat state. I live near Appalachia, so there's a lot of hills, rolling hills. But yeah, I always thought it looked like fun. I like working on my bikes, and fixed gear is one of the simplest bikes to work on. So yeah. Okay. That's pretty much the frame all cleaned up nicely. Gonna open this up a little bit. Yeah. Might as well clean up the chain ring a little bit. All the chains off. Nice and clean. Gonna go ahead, throw the wheels back on, give them a wipe down with the bike wash. Okay, don't really need to tighten down the bolts since I'm gonna take this one right back off. Back up the camera. Another YouTuber I watch who's kind of got me into bikes, bike repair. It's Bike Farmer. He's pretty cool. He just, I think he owns a bike shop, and he just does repairs in his workshop. So you pick up some nice tips and tricks from him when working on your own bikes. Okay. Gonna go ahead and degrease this freewheel. Not really gonna use it, but I don't know, just looks kind of ugly. All right. I think that's clean enough. I'll go ahead and clean the other wheel off camera and then do a little swap to the fixed gear. I have a Dura-Ace lock ring, and I don't think that this is the fixed hub is grease, so I'll put some grease on there too. All right, so lock rings on fixed gears, they're reverse thread, so it should be righty loosey. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not supposed to be that loose. And also zero grease. So, good thing I am taking that off. And the lock ring is also, and the cog is also super loose. So, and no grease. Cool. Fine by me. I was honestly kind of afraid that it could have been seized on, but it's actually kind of nice that I don't think the previous owner or owners ever used it in the fixed gear. So thankfully it didn't have time to seize on without any grease. All right. Some degreaser. And just a little bit of grease on the threads. I should have looked at which side the chain was locked into. Let me review the footage. Be right back. All right, got it. This little flange is going inwards. So just throw some grease on here. So these threads are pretty thin, so whenever you have thin threads, just kind of back it off until you hear it click in, and then you can put it on nicely. If anything feels on a bicycle, if anything feels like it's grinding or not going on nice, don't try to force it. That's how you fuck up your threads. So yeah, got my Shimano Dura-Ace lock ring, NJS stamped. I don't think it really matters. I just got this because I heard that a lot of times lock rings can strip because they're made of like butter. So okay, my lock ring tool. So you need a lock ring on a fixed gear because um, If it's flipped the wrong way, then basically it could just come off. And that's one of your main modes of braking on a fixed gear if you don't have a rear brake. So the nice thing with fixed gear is that most parts are interchangeable and you don't have to deal too much with, you don't have to deal with any shifters or anything like that. So you never really have to worry about parts compatibility unless you're looking at something with proprietary parts. Yeah, that should be it. Okay, it's nice and locked on there, so go ahead and throw this back on the bike. Camera light just died, but it's fine. I could have went through the hassle of putting on forgot to put the chain on. I could have went through the hassle of taking the tire off and putting it back on, but these are pretty slick, so I don't think the tread direction really matters all that much. Not a really big deal, so I'm just gonna not bother. Okay, so this chain's pretty loose. Just gonna pull it tight. Pull it taut, just to have the just to pinch the wheel onto the frame for now, and then gonna go ahead and tighten up these dropout retention bolts. There we go. Okay. Those are probably good enough. Okay. I'm gonna run this a little bit loose because you don't really have to worry too much about chain retention because there's no derailleur or anything like that. So it's basically locked in here on both sides. So it's really hard for a fixed chain to fall off. Yeah, I think that's about good. Making sure that the spacing is about the same on both sides. Good enough. And tighten down the bolts. chain line isn't perfect, but I think it's fine. Fine for what it is. Yep, I think that's good. All right. Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and throw pedals on and throw the pedals on, put some lube on the chain, then we can work on the front brake. So these are the pedals I have. I don't know, some no-name pedals. The front was like mounted to a plate, like a plastic plate, which I didn't think was very sturdy, so I just put some bolts through it instead. Yeah, should be better. I like this because I'm used to cages on my road bike, my vintage road bike, so it's nice to have the cage and then the little flippy thing. Especially since it's fixed gear, you can't really you can't freewheel, so it's nice to have retention that you can easily flip into instead of like struggling to get into straps. Yeah. Throw some grease in the threads. Okay. One pedal. Okay. Nice. Might as well clean up the chain a little bit. No point not to, since it's already since we cleaned everything else, might as well clean up the chain. All right. Let that dry up for a second and throw on some lube. All right, sick. Gonna swap out the seat on that post, and then I'll install the front brake again, or the Dura-Ace front brake. All right. Got a seat post from my mountain bike or my commuter bike, so there's no scratches on the back. And I kind of like the clamp design a little bit better than the other one. Grab it real quick. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna install this cheap saddle. It's just an Amazon Chinese saddle, but I put one on my road bike and I really like it. So, you know, the thing about saddles is that it doesn't have to be expensive or super nice or whatever. Um, it's all about how it fits you and how comfortable it is. So, yeah. Oops. All right. Just put that on soft, lightly so that I can adjust the pitch when it's on the bike. All right, just gonna throw some clear grease on this. Might have been a little bit too much grease on there, but yeah, I think that's about right. Okay. All right, I got a new torque wrench here. Nothing expensive or not too nice or anything. It's a pro bike tool. So might as well put it to use. I just test fitted the saddle and it feels like a decent height, so might as well torque her down to a proper spec. Around 5 Newton meters. And then saddle rails is going to be about 8. Ah, Slightly bigger size. No problem. I lower this to 7 because it says max of 8 on the saddle, on the seat post here, so. Okay. Last thing I'm gonna do for now is just throw on this new brake, or new to this bike brake at least. Just gonna throw a touch of grease on this back thread just to make sure it doesn't seize up. Not gonna put too much on it though, because the single pull style of brake can be kind of finicky, and yeah, I don't want it to slop around too much. I already stole the brake pads off the old brake caliper. Need to grab a longer bolt. Let me see. I think I can steal one off of the old brake. There we go. It's a lot better. Okay. Close up the calipers. Okay. So it looks like the right arm is a little bit kinked out. Has reverse toe. I never really bothered with toe on my bikes because, a little bit of brake school is fine. Yeah, basically you just kind of try to bend the arm back a little bit. These ones actually might have some articulation. So let me see if that's the case. Just a touch more. It's fine. It's close enough for me. So I'm gonna put some bike lube on the cable. Just make it a little bit smoother. A little too tight. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of what I expected here. Yeah, one of the calipers is still rubbing. Kind of regret throwing that on there. But we're committed now, so what are you gonna do? All right, that's good now. Oh yeah, it's a lot smoother than the old one. There's just less resistance. Guess I'll just use this for now. It should be fine. That'll be temporary. But yeah, that's it for now. I'll cut to about half a week, and I'll put on the new grips, some bottle stuff, and that'll be that. All right, so the little finishing details arrived, and let's go ahead and put them on the bike. I threw on a proper cable crimp, so don't worry about that. Ferrule I was using. So there's nothing physically wrong with the grips or functionally wrong. They work perfectly fine, but basically they're just kind of sun damaged, I would assume. And I think they're originally either the sand color brown or the gum color brown, but they have some discoloration that just kind of makes them look a little off. And maybe one thing if they're both discolored the same amount, but the left grip is actually more discolored than the other side. And I just wanted to swap them out, give it a fresh look. My favorite color is also green, so that's also another reason. Tiny little bolts. All right. So you can see the two grips are discolored and differently to different degrees. You can really tell when you compare it to the backs. So I'm not going to throw these grips away. They're still perfectly functional. I'm just going to throw them on another bike that has really bad stock grips that slide around everywhere. And I'm just going to replace them with the same grips, just in green instead of brown. So, yep. I think technically the bolt head's supposed to face the front of the bike, but I don't think it really matters all that much. And the brake levers get in the way if I put them on the other way, so I think it's fine. Basically, just gonna try to get these so that the designs are basically at the same level. And I just put my thumbs on it to kind of gauge that. Obviously, it doesn't have to be perfect for functionality, but if you're a bit OCD, then that might bug you when you're actually riding the bike. So, all right. think that's about right. I'm gonna say that's good enough. And might as well use the torque wrench again. It's just 2 Newton meters. It's actually taking a little bit to get there. There we go. Okay. Just gonna check them. All right. All right. Those are good to go. And to replace those little body bolts, I just got some green ones instead. They're a little bit darker than the grips, but I think when the lights hits them, they kind of match. I don't know. I feel like it'll bring the color scheme together a little bit better than just having grips that don't match anything else. All right, let's go ahead and install these bolts. So I've already pre-lubricated them or put some grease on them, so oh. um so done a slight miscalculation and that don't quite fit. Hmm. Um, Let me see. Yeah, it stands off like a good 2 millimeters. Uh, I'm just gonna run it. That's fine. Let me do the other side off camera and then I'll install the bottle cage. Alright, I changed my mind. I actually swapped out the green bolt for the bolt that was up on the higher part of this tubing so that it actually fits. It's not a big deal. Last thing I'm going to install is just a simple silver bottle cage. Nothing fancy. And I'm going to go ahead and use these green bolts that didn't fit earlier. Alrighty, that's that. I think that's everything. So in quick review, we stripped down the bike pretty decently, cleaned up the frame and components, drivetrain, swapped out the pedals, swapped it to fixed gear, and changed out the lock ring to a Dura-Ace one. Swapped out the scratched up seat post and then put on a new saddle. Got some new grips. Dura-Ace front brake that's nice and smooth. Throw on a new bottle cage and then put some green accent bolts. Even though if you can't really notice them from a distance, but it's a nice little touch. All right, that about does it for my quick tune-up and slight modification to my State 4130 core line. Hope you all enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't threaded it in yet. There we go. Pedal wrench. You didn't see that.